Well, speaking at Atlanta yesterday, former President Jimmy Carter warned Democrats not to veer too far left and lose moderates. Here's what he said.
Both Rose and I voted for Bernie Sanders in the past, so he pretty well represents the liberal side. But I think that for the Democrats this time is to appeal to the independents. I noticed today in a published poll that I saw tonight, as a matter of fact, that only 33% of independents are still in favor of Trump, and 37% of Americans are in favor of Trump, and 57% think he's done a very poor job. So we have a good chance to get those independents, and I think that we should concentrate our efforts on that. I don't think any Democrat is going to vote against the Democratic nominee after we choose him. But I think a lot of independents need to know that they can invest their vote in the Democratic Party in 2020 if we appeal to the middle of the road.
Well, there you go. I mean,
what do you think?
First of all, I just think he's amazing.
Amazing.
I love him. But that's the balance. As we look at these poll numbers and we see potential blue wave, which we don't know what's going to happen, but we have to then think of after that and who represents a more broad swath of whether it be a district or the entire country.
Yeah. Well, you know, Peter Baker, that is a debate that the Democrats have been having inside their party now for several years. If you look at the results from 2018 in the primaries, it looks like the progressives have won more often than not, at least in the big ticket in the big ticket races.
Yeah, there's some real momentum right now for the left inside that party. You see some of these incumbents coming down. You see, the energy on the more liberal activist side than you do from the center. That's for sure. You heard that in this debate within the party is really important because this tension is unresolved. You heard President Obama, former President Barack Obama, weigh in last week during his speech in Illinois, and he had a message for fellow Democrats. He basically was saying, "Don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. Don't be so purist that you can't see that we can make things better, even if we don't make things perfect on policy in day one." And it was a really interesting speech on his part. At the same time, he also said something I hadn't heard him say before, which is that the Democrats need to offer new ideas, and he cited as one of them Medicare for all. Remember, of course, when he was in office, he didn't favor that. He favored a different kind of health care plan that still came under attack. So he, in fact, was reflecting that shift inside the party toward a more liberal point of view, for instance, on health care.
So let me just open up a question to the table. Who is the Democrat on the national stage that's thinking about running in 2020 that occupies the space that Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton occupied? Bill Clinton in 1992 when he ran, which was a fairly moderate, almost conservative, moderate to conservative viewpoint. Is there a Democrat on the national stage that occupies that space?
Well, I think the key question is on the national stage. There's a bunch of Democrats who embody that who would like to be in the mix. So if you take, for example, Steve Bullock from Montana, who's done a great job as a Democrat in a red state, both getting elected and governing. You see on the national stage, John Hickenlooper, the former governor of Colorado, Michael Bennet, the senator from Colorado. Excuse me?
Garcetti.
Eric Garcetti of L.A., although Mitch Landrieu, the former mayor of New Orleans, Deval Patrick, the former governor of Massachusetts. She's not on that.
I'd like her to.
No.
I'd like her to.
I like her a lot, but she's not quite in that category.
But that's a lot of former.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, what do you think?
No, well, Bullock's a governor now.
You know, I think the future of the Democratic Party, whether it stays in some sort of semblance of power for years to come, will be decided in the next 24 months based specifically on who their national candidate for president will be. And the national candidate for president in the Democratic Party, it's fairly simple. You don't have to hold a PhD in calculus to figure it out. You've got to be able to put someone out there for the Democrats who actually knows how real people live. It can't be a senator, I don't think, unless it's a combination of, someone like Sherrod Brown. He sort of figures it out.
But
I understand that he's way left. I get that. So you come down, you go through all of them, as Steve just did, and you come out with people like Mitch Landrieu. He knows how people live.
Yeah.
And that's what it's got to, they've got to stop this. I mean, we all admire to a certain extent Kamala Harris.
I do.
Yeah, I do.
I think she, well.
Yeah, she's great.
She's
I
way
wouldn't rule her
out there.
But she's way out
Way
there.
out there.
So
Wouldn't rule
let's
her
end.
out.
I want a couple quick regional stories here. First of all, from the Boston Globe, tell us the story that you've got circled.
This is
it's so
this
beautiful.
is actually what we're talking about in a certain way, at a much lower level. This is a uniquely American story.
It's amazing.
It's an American story about what can happen in America, the greatest country ever in God's earth, and it has to do with Sophia Wazir, and she's running for state representative in New Hampshire, in Concord, New Hampshire. She's running against a 66-year-old former city councilor, Dick Patton, who's the incumbent. Okay? Now, Sophia Wazir is 27 years old. She has 2 children. She is an Afghan refugee.
Oh, my gosh.
And she beats
Love it.
him.
Wow.
She beats him. So people out there, if you are unaware that something is happening out electorally in this country, and especially with women as candidates, pay attention to this story. It can only happen here in the United States of America.
Read it in the Globe. That's in the Globe?
Yes.
read it in the
It'll
Globe.
give you chills.
So let's talk we've talked about Democrats, future Democrats. There will be life for Republicans after Donald Trump, most likely. A name we never mention here is a guy who has an extraordinarily high approval rating in Massachusetts, who happens to be the Republican.
Charlie
nominee.
Baker.
Yeah, what,
If the Republican
what does it
Party-
seem like,
if the
the
Republican
70s?
Party-
What's that guy's approval rate?
It's about 72%. But if the Republican Party hadn't clearly lost its mind over a period of years, Charlie Baker could be president of the United States. He could be president of the United States. He could be at the top of the Republican ticket. He's enormously likable. He's enormously sensible. He's a moderate. He's in the middle of the road. He's got some positions you disagree with, some positions you'd agree with. But he knows how people live. He ran a hospital insurance company, for years quite well, resurrected it, rebuilt it. But the Republican Party has gone crazy.
Right. And if, let's just say Donald Trump didn't run for re-election and it was an open primary, Baker would get killed because he has been critical of the president. He would never survive that primary on the right, ever.
And remember, back on that Democratic question, all they have to do is win back those 78,000 votes that cost them the presidency across 3 states. So he's not conservative, but a guy like Joe Biden, you think about a guy, the people who live and breathe that part of the country, Tim Ryan, the congressman from Ohio, a Youngstown Democrat, people who, as Mike says, understand those people and can win them back. That's the kind of person they need, and not somebody who's going to dart far
The
left.
ticket is Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. Okay, go ahead.
Interesting idea.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.